York Life. New York Life is known for life insurance, but we do a lot of other things in the financial realm. New York Life's been around in good times and bad times since 1945. We have the highest quality, most thoroughly diversified investment portfolio in the insurance industry, which allows us, when the markets are volatile and things are crazy, to have a long-term perspective as opposed to some companies who are, let's make the returns this year, keep our stockholders happy. We're a mutual company, so we don't have to worry about policing stockholders. Our policyholders are our stockholders, and most of the things that we do are long-term based. Today we're kind of in some unprecedented times with the things that are going on all around the world. No longer is it just what affects the U.S., but what affects the global economy affects the U.S. economy. Things that I want to kind of review a little bit, talking about what has recently been called the Great Recession, that some believe we're coming out of, some believe we're still in. Also looking at how things that happen over in Europe and different places, how that's going to affect our economy over here, as well as where we think we're headed and how that will affect you. When we talk about our current economy, in 2007, we saw the markets beginning to get extremely volatile. Like I said before, many of these are calling this the Great Recession. During that time, our national debt spiked over $12 trillion in debt. And this is something that's almost like taking I don't know if you've seen those old mules that have those little things around their neck, put that on, jump in the water. It's going to be something that's really going to be a real crisis down the road if we don't address it soon. Over in, the government's over-leveraged. We've seen that. We've also seen several companies that have done that as well. Lehman Brothers is a prime example of a company that was over-leveraged and got to the point where they went belly up. We had some other companies like H.I.T who took an $8 billion or $85 million bailout. And it was a situation there where it wasn't on their insurance side, it was on their financial side. But a lot of times, hand in hand, those things go together. Many personal portfolios saw a significant decline in value. Personal savings fell. The total loss of household wealth was staggering. And we also saw the collapse in the U.S. housing market and commercial real estate markets as well as a result of this over-leveraging. So where are we now? There are signs that the economy is improving. We're seeing that every day, yet we're not out of the woods yet. Our current environment, because it's so global, has caused some new issues for us in that realm. This time, the health of the global economy itself is threatened by long-term debt burden, which is unprecedented, and we also have a lot of political environment that's kind of caused some of the upheavals as well. World markets continue to be extremely volatile, and economists really aren't sure if we're through this thing yet or if it's still got things to come. With Europe and their financial crisis, those things affect us now. Everybody's heard about Greece. Greece was probably somewhere over 200% of gross domestic product, the great term GDP. Basically, they're spending more than they're bringing in. It's one of those things for a lot of us when we are trying to get our hands around our own situation. The U.S. is currently 110% of gross domestic product, which means basically we're spending more than we're making. And at some point, we're going to have to pay the piper. When these debt issues go up, especially in Europe, when the interest rate environment goes up, it's going to make it difficult for Europe to pay their debts. And when that happens, that's going to have a chain reaction here in the U.S. So I don't think we're completely out of the woods yet, but it is something that we need to be aware of. People are encouraged to buy these higher interest rate bonds, and when they could go up, it's going to cause an issue. There's a lot of U.S. banks that are holding European debt, and those types of things are going to be very leveraging against the U.S. So when those go, we're going to have another financial crisis. And Europe is likely to see a recession, and when they do, that's going to affect our ability to export things as well. In the U.S., we're facing record budget deficits, and last year we saw with the crisis of the debt ceiling being raised. Those are just kind of political games that are being played, but they do have a real bearing recession, but everybody's still feeling it. And you know, I heard a comment one time. What's a recession? It's when your neighbor loses a job. What's a depression? When you lose your job. And I think it's one of those things where it's not affecting you, okay, but when it does affect you, it becomes very critical. We also see that Americans are starting to save a little bit now, which is a trend that 10 years ago we were spending everything we made, and now we're getting to the point where we are at least, you know, trying to put some money away. Guys, if you're not putting something away, you need to. You know, if let's say the American dollar no longer becomes a standard currency, and you've got to exchange your money into whatever currency is, you can lose 60% of the value of your money. I mean, it could be, you know, back in the Civil War, the Confederates had all this money, and what happened? When the North took over, their money was worthless. And so those are real concerns. Getting out of debt and not being leveraged, as well as not spending everything you make, is something that's very important. If you look at careers back 20, 30 years ago, someone would go to college, they'd work in a career for a lifetime. At 65, they retire. They live about 10 years, and you know, that was the end of it. Now, colleges are double what they were then. So people are in the workforce with a lot more debt. They're changing jobs 2 or 3 times during their career. They don't have a pension plan. Social Security is shaky at best. So all of a sudden now, you reach 65. Now you're living to 85 because of advancements in medicine. All of a sudden now, you've not made enough money, you're not saving enough money, and you get to that point, who's going to take care of you? You're either going to continue to work, or you're going to become a warless state. Kind of get that there. One of the things that I passed around on the table there is the one that Amy passed around. Did you pass that around? Mm-hmm. The larger sheet. This is the type of referrals I'm looking for, and the type of people that I work with. A lot of people don't realize that New York Life does so much more than life insurance. You know, some of the people that we work with are people that had a baby recently, bought a new house, have change in marital status, whether it would be getting married or getting divorced. It's been said numerous times in this room that there's just as much concern about divorce and your finances as there is when you get married. Sometimes when you're young and you just get married, you just think, well, hey, it's all good. But when that divorce comes, it kind of goes completely the opposite way. You've got assets that need to be split. You've got things that need to be done. So we can help in that arena. Job changes. People that start a business. People that lose benefits. I mean, you might change employers, and all of a sudden you no longer have life insurance, or you no longer have health insurance, or you don't have disability insurance. We work with individuals in college savings, mortgage protection, estate planning. Had a client I worked with this last year that was currently worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $11 million and anticipated to be somewhere upwards of 30 to 40 million if his assets continue to grow over his lifespan. Create some real issues tax-wise. We have consultants that we can bring in. We can sit down, do an in-depth analysis, and take care of this particular individual. Also got clients that have nothing. I mean, they just started a family, husband and wife, and a little kid, and we're putting some insurance on dad and mom in case something happens that this kid can go to college and have a chance at life. So those are things that we do from the extremes all the way anywhere in between. We work a lot with businesses. You got 2 partners in a business. One of the business owners passes away. All of a sudden now, that employer is in business with the other employer's attorney. So now you've got issues about what's the business worth. If all that stuff's been done ahead of time, they've been funded correctly, the death benefits are paid by the insurance company to that business in turn pays off that spouse. All of a sudden now that business owner owns that business free and clear. He has no issues with any of those estate type issues. Kind of out of time. If you'd like to get more information on some of the things I do, I'd love to sit down with you. But it's one of those things where right now the worst thing to do is nothing. If you currently have an advisor that you're working with, I encourage you to continue to use them and make them earn their money. A lot of these guys work on a commission-based. New life, we do not. We can help them, whether it would be with a extensive plan where we're doing a full estate analysis, or we just sit down and do a simple family plan where we try to protect today. If something happens to get hit by a truck, your family continues, or you make it to those retirement years. We want to make sure you live the lifestyle that you want to do. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Carrie, you got a question?
Mike, we've talked several times, and what's your favorite client? I mean, not what the financial means one way or the other. What's your favorite thing to do when you're working with people?
I would say with the clients that have a dream, that want to do something. I love to work with clients that say, hey, here I am, I'm 45 years old, and I've acquired some things. This is where I'd like to get to. I want to kind of watch out for the hedges and the pops in the road. How can we be ready so I can retire in 5 to 10 years? We can help them with that. To me, I just love people and working with kind people that care about their family. If you got somebody who says, I ain't buying life insurance for her, she can remarry, I don't want him because he's somebody who doesn't care about his family. I don't work with that individual. When I first came in the business, I was told, the longer you're in this business, you work with who you want to work with. And for me, I want to work with